What if capacitors were never invented? Imagine for a moment in a world where there's no buzzing phones, no stable electricity, no modern internet. Like, without capacitors in general, we wouldn't have anything that we have today, all because they never invented capacitors. These small components play a very huge role in this modern world as we live in today. I'll tell you about the importance of capacitors. But before we talk about the importance of capacitors, what does capacitors actually do? What's the use of it? In short terms, what is a capacitor? In its simplest form, a capacitor stores electrical energy and it releases it when it's needed. So, second thing that it does is it smooths voltage in what do we call it? Charges and a whole lot. It filters noise from signals and it times electronic events. So I want you to think of capacitors as a shock absorber in a car. Shock absorbers takes the shock when you hit a pothole. That's exactly what capacitors do in a smartphone or in any electronic device that we have today. One of the crucial points we have about capacitors is the ability for it to convert to help, or if it was not, invented, conversion from AC to DC would literally fail, because most devices we need today, we need to power it with DC powers as the main voltage for them. Something like your laptop, your PC, your phone, rectifiers, chargers, power supplies, power adapters. All these are possible because this capacitor helps in smoothing voltages in them. It plays a crucial role in these devices. So without capacitors, this is what will happen. Power would fluctuate violently. Devices would overheat. Electronics would burn out instantly in these equipment. So without capacitors, there wouldn't be any internet. There wouldn't be no TikTok as we know today. So there wouldn't be laptops, routers, TVs, and a whole lot. And another crucial point about capacitors is that if it was never invented, there are plenty things that we'll miss out today. It will cause a lot of debt into modern electronics, smartphones, computers, everyday lifestyle. Like, our lives will go back into thousands of years because of a single component called capacitors. So what it does really well in these devices that we use in our daily lives, it regulates power. It times signals, as I said earlier. It filters noise, and it helps in storing your data on your phone. You have a photo on your phone that you can access it anytime. It releases voltages when it's needed for the transistor to be able to detect where your photos are in our NAND, in our ICs and all that. So without these capacitors, CPUs might not function. It wouldn't be reliable. Memory becomes unstable. So we wouldn't be able to save memory, or we wouldn't be able to save data on our devices without an issue. And most of our screens, phone screens that we use today, your phone screens will flicker violently. Your TVs will flicker violently. We wouldn't have a beautiful display as we have today in this modern world in 2026. So if there was no capacitor, this means there would be no smartphones, no laptops, no tablets, no gaming consoles. So we wouldn't have PS5, Xbox, Nintendo, a whole lot. Like this whole internet would collapse. There wouldn't be this modern world that we live in today. The internet as we know today relies on 5 crucial things, or 6. One is a router. Routers rely heavily on capacitors. Two are switches. They also rely heavily on capacitors. Servers do the same. Signal amplifiers, it do the same, and timing circuits also do the same. So capacitors are basically important as any other components that we have in this digital age. So capacitors keep signals clean. It prevents data corruption. So if you save data, you can keep data for like hundreds of years without it getting corrupted. This is with the help of a capacitor, because they are like a mini battery. It stores charges and releases them quickly when it's needed. That's basically its job. It stabilizes clock and it can synchronize all global networks, including everything that we have today. Without them, we will have packet fails. We wouldn't be able to send information. It will minimize how we send information in this digital world. The signals will be distorted. Several constant resets. Computers will crash out. Networks will collapse because there's no capacitor. So this tiny component is very crucial, but yet we don't know about it and we don't appreciate it enough. So without this component, without capacitors in 2026, this means there would be no social media, there would be no YouTube, there would be no TikTok, there would be no WhatsApp, there would be no cloud storage, Google storage, like a whole lot. There wouldn't be AI as we know of today because of a small component. It works heavily, but then it's invisible to us because we don't know the job that it performs in our motherboards and all these smart devices. So let's talk about it on a simple scale. The digital world simply would never scale up because of capacitors. Like communications would be compromised. As we know, our traveling systems would take an impact because there was no capacitors. It plays a huge role in 2026 because now we have inverters for electric vehicles, as we have Tesla, BYD, and all these hybrid cars. Purely electric cars uses capacitors a lot, and the hybrids also use it a lot. So these are capacitors are very essential for these things in this modern vehicles that we use today, that we call EV and hybrid vehicles. Let's talk about it. So inverters needs capacitors to function properly. Motor controllers. So in electric vehicles, we have these controllers that controls how the motors, the magnetic motors would function, or signal it to slow down and all that. These are regenerative controllers or motor controllers. Regenerative braking also, it helps in gathering energy or saving power from your brakes. So all these motherboards need capacitors to function properly. And last but not the least is battery management. We can charge our phone anytime we want, and the phone can detect that the battery is 90%. It has been fully charged. We have to unplug it and all that. These power management systems rely heavily also on capacitors. It's not only capacitors that makes our electronic work, but then they are very important in making it work flawlessly for years, for decades, and all that. So without capacitors in this EV world that we live in 2026 right now, electronic vehicles wouldn't be possible. Electronic vehicles, as we know right now, like Tesla, BYD, a whole lot, they wouldn't be possible. All this wouldn't be possible because of one single component, because of a capacitor. So this tells us that everything that we have today, we should be appreciative about it. So if capacitors were never invented, we would be back in the days, like we would go back. We wouldn't have this modern world to enjoy all this. So thanks to capacitors, modern trains as we know today would fail, and we wouldn't have more reliable avionics and aeroplanes. They would be unreliable because of a single component called a capacitor. Transportation in 2026, if capacitors were never invented, transportation in 2026 would be mostly mechanical. It would be totally mechanical because back in the days, mechanical transportation was massive until this new age that we have electric vehicles. So as I'm talking to you now, I think China uses more EV than mechanical vehicles, and transportation in 2026 will be less efficient because there wouldn't be EVs to support the mechanical ones, the automobile ones that we have today, and it will be more dangerous. As we know right now, Tesla and all these electric vehicles have this thing we call autopilot, so it can literally drive you anywhere you want. It's not 100% safe, but then they are improving upon it. It will be more dangerous because all these things wouldn't be possible. We will just rely on engines to travel the world, and there will be more pollution because we would heavily rely on auto or mechanical ways of traveling or ways of moving things. These are very important because we've come a long way. Capacitors have helped us in a long way, and we need to be able to acknowledge how important every component that is in this modern world. We should appreciate it. One of the most important ones is also medicine and healthcare. This section will take a massive hit because modern medicine depends on capacitors for MRI scanners or MRI machines, ultrasound scanners, heart monitors, and life support systems. So without capacitors, all these that I mentioned wouldn't be possible. MRI scanners, ultrasonic scanners, heart monitors, it wouldn't be possible because of only capacitors, because we never invented capacitors. And without capacitors, all these things wouldn't work. Our IT technology becomes unreliable. Monitoring systems would be glitching all over. Imagine machine failing all the time because we were not able to develop capacitor. Millions of lives in 2000s wouldn't be able to be saved. Doctors wouldn't be able to save more lives due to this small component. And one of the most important things that we can talk about is renewable energy. Renewable energy wouldn't be possible because solar systems, wind energy are inherently unusable because sunlight would fluctuate and it will need a certain device that can smooth the voltage or make the voltage constant for us to be able to use these solar and wind energy. These things are possible because would not be possible because capacitors smooth power outage. It protects grids and it prevents blackouts. Without capacitors, renewable energies remains experimental. They would be still experimenting on renewable energies. Power grids wouldn't be a thing, and fossil fuel would dominate longer because they would spoil the environment for this new age. We wouldn't be able to have green energy as Apple is trying to, as hard as it can to portray. Apple is on a journey on using solid green energy in all its manufacturing. And without capacitors, simple things would stop working. Something like LEDs will flicker and fail. Audio systems will distort badly. Radios can tune properly. We've stopped using radios, but then it was crucial that time. Cameras would more function because there's no capacitors to smooth out things in the motherboards for it to work properly. Appliances will break quickly. Something like your what do we call it? Something like our phones, our chargers, like things that converts AC to DC will tremble because capacitors were never invented. Daily lives becomes noisy, unreliable, frustrating, less efficient because capacitors were never invented. In this world, current age that we live in without capacitors, technology level would go back in a day because capacitors were never invented. It could go as far as 1950 or early 70s thereabout because we were not able to develop or invent capacitor. It will limit electronics. It will crumble because there's no capacitor. No digital evolution. Society and communication will be slower. It wouldn't be able to scale up. Less globalization would occur. Limited automations, smaller economies. If you think about it, our economies wouldn't be able to grow because all these things are not possible without capacitors. Tech industries would collapse. Social media wouldn't be a thing. Millions of jobs would take a massive hit because there's no capacitors to help build this innovative world. And the last but not the least is capacitors are very, very important as any other thing that is in our motherboards to keep it working. On this channel, I'll be talking about how things are important, but then we've normalized how important it is. We need to start to acknowledge people who were able to come up with these things and making sure that people can work on and develop it up till 2026. So without capacitors, we wouldn't be able to celebrate smartphones, AI systems, AI, ChatGPT, Grok, and a whole lot wouldn't be able or wouldn't be possible. Electronic cars wouldn't be possible. Satellites as we know today wouldn't be possible, meaning we wouldn't have no internet. These are things that are very important to us that we use today that has made this globe that we live in a modernized world. So without capacitors, all this wouldn't be possible. Social media wouldn't be possible. You wouldn't be able to watch me as you're watching right now. So we need to take time and then make sure that we appreciate these people and make sure we acknowledge them. Before I sign out, I would let you guys know my name is Ax Faraday, and you can subscribe to this channel to know more about technology. I'm glad that you watched it to this far, and then you'll come and watch the other video. I'll be talking about components and how they work. So after this video, I'm going to talk about I'm going in depth about how capacitors actually work so that you get the glimpse of it. My name is Big Boss Faraday, and I'll catch you on the next one. Subscribe and share it to someone who might need this. Thank you all. Bye.